Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today from Los Angeles is Terri Melkonian. Terri is a producer, a movie television producer, but she's here in another capacity. She's here as mom. Her son Michael is part of the Shamlian School, Los Angeles Glendale, more correctly, Shamlian School's annual visit to Armenia. So Terri, her husband Ara, and their son Michael are all here. Terri's here in the studio with me because you do something that lots of Armenians don't do. You're a producer. What does that mean?
It means so many things. I've worked in this industry for many, many years. I've been in it for about 25 years. I started at Universal. I was there for many years managing film productions and television productions there. And then after that I left and I went to a studio in Hollywood that was originally Columbia Pictures, and then we restored it, and it was called Sunset Gower. And I was there for about 5 years as an executive there, though. And then I realized I wanted to get back into film production in particular. And I've always wanted to form my own production company where I can just choose the type of projects that I want to work on. So basically what I do as a producer is I look for great material. That's the number one thing that every producer does. We look for great stories that we can connect with and we can have others connect with. I like stories that are very inspirational. They have great endings, happy endings. I don't like depressing type of films
good,
at the end
stuff.
in particular.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Things that I love, which I think many people also love. So I look for that type of material. I like to make films that really make a difference. And I don't want to just have a film that's just strictly horror and that can do well. I want something that can actually make a positive difference in our society, and that's the type of project I look for.
So it's both creative and a business decision, and I suppose fundraising.
Completely. Yes. So you know a lot about producing then.
Well, we do a little bit of that here.
Yes.
It turns out, if it's those three pieces, it turns out
once
that's what we do.
That's exactly what it is. Because you certainly have to have a good business sense, and then you have to have a creative mind as well, because you're basically bringing them both together and creating a film. And once you find a film, of course, the next step would be fundraising. But before you can even start fundraising, you have to start packaging it, because before you go to any investors or studios for funding, everybody wants to know who's your star, who do you have attached, who's your director. So that's how you begin to package. And you find the right director for your film, for your script. And once you get them on board, then you want to get a couple of A-list actors, at least one, somebody that's recognizable, because once you do, then what you do with your project is you have to partner with a sales company, which every studio does as well. Everything is about selling. This is when the business side comes in. How's your film going to sell? And in this day and age, the sales really for us producers is really coming from the international market. So obviously in the US market, which is considered North America, Canada, and US, you can have a big distributor for your film. It's probably going to be a big studio, but the opportunity for us as a producer to make money on a film is going to be from the international market. So what I do is I meet with a really good, reputable sales company, and then we go over my project. So we look at the genre of the film, we look at the director, what his background is, we look at who we have attached, even if it's loosely attached, because it's hard to get a complete attachment now, who the actor is and the actors. And then we sit down and they put together sales figures for me. So now they can say, if we have your film with these actors, with this director in this genre, we can sell it at the very least for this amount of money in the international market, which includes the UK, China, includes Russia. Everyone is considered a territory. Now, if you have this actor, we can sell it for this much. So obviously, the actors really are the ones that are going to be pushing your film, because once you have a certain actor, now you have a certain amount of money that you can sell it for. Then you go to the investors and you say, okay, this is our film, this is the genre, these are the actors that we have loosely attached, and this is how much we can sell the film for. So they'll say, okay, if it's a $10 million film and you have sales figures at the very least of $8 million, then that's a really good business formula that you've already created. So now you approach them and say, okay, we'd like to have some equity towards our film, but we don't need to have everything funded through money. Because nowadays, which every producer does and every studio does, is you go to the locations that are offering you tax credits and tax incentives, which is a main reason why a lot of film production has left California, unfortunately.
So what are the pluses, the opportunities in this time frame, in this period, for Armenians who want to be in this business? Because if in the old days everybody was a doctor, lawyer, engineer, the number of Armenians in the arts and the number of Armenians in the arts who are visible is amazing. It's growing in ways that we didn't have a generation ago.
Right.
So in this kind of formula, are we at a disadvantage? Are we even with the rest of the world? And
I think there's no disadvantage or advantage. It's basically free for all right now, I think, in our industry. It's actually a great time to be an independent producer because of the climate, how it's changed, because now there are opportunities to make great films because the studios aren't making them. Studios have reduced the capacity of films that they're making and distributing. I think each studio does maybe about 6 or 7, at the most 10, and actually not even that much, of big films. They'll spend $150, $200 million, but it'll be the franchise films, the tentpole films that are Marvel comic based, whether it's Spider-Man or Thor, but that's really what they're focusing on because they can make a lot of money. It's a hit and miss, but they really focus on that because if they make money, they're going to make a lot of money for the studio and the company, the shareholders. So, which means all the other films that you see, for example, the Dallas Buyers Club that won Oscars for Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto, that film was made for barely $3 million. All the studios passed on that film. And many of the films that were nominated for an Oscar this past year, and this happens every year, the studios have passed on. So you have a lot of great films that are being made by independent producers. So people like me, that have experience, but you really do need to know what you're doing. You can't just jump in here.
Sure.
And obviously over the years I've had a lot of experience in production, and I know a lot of people in the industry through my relationships at the major studios, so I can take advantage of that. But also, I truly believe this is the best time to get into this field, no matter what that you want to do, whether it's a producer or if you want to focus more on the arts, if you want to be director, cinematographer.
This is the time.
You can just come on board, get on a small film, start getting your credits. A lot of shorts, every university, every film student, not even a film student, every producers too, they have the small films that they're producing, and they want people to come on board and help them, and they have a very limited budget, but this is a good opportunity for many of the other talent to come on board and work for a basic fee or just for a credit, but that's how you establish your name in the industry, and that's how you build up, because at the end of the day, it's all about your credits. So if you want to work on a bigger film or a mid-sized film, they're going to ask you, what are your credits? So you want to show that you have some, and there's an opportunity, I believe, for everybody right now. You just have to really want to do it.
What's been your pet project, your favorite project?
My pet project. Well, obviously, my family's from Musadag. My mom, her whole family is from Musadag, and of course the story, the 40 Days of Musadag, is a story that means a lot to me in particular because my grandparents were part of the group, and so if I can make a film that's truly for us and for the Armenian people, I'd love to tell our story because once again, it's a story of inspiration, the kind of film that I like to make. And one day I truly do believe that we will make a film. That is my focus. I've been reading a lot of good scripts lately and some scripts that really haven't been very good, but that can be developed further for pertaining to our Armenian cause. And if I can make any film, that's really what I want to do. In the meantime, other projects that I have, there's one in particular right now that we're getting close to finalizing is, once again, an inspirational film, but it has a hockey story element to it, so it's sports, and I love sports films, whether I play the sport or not. I love The Blind Side. I like films like that.
Our cameraman is Canadian. He's thrilled you're talking about
hockey.
hockey.
So he knows about hockey, which I didn't know anything about hockey, to be honest with you, but once again, I had a script that was given to me through a very good casting director who was a friend of mine. She said, I think you're going to like this, and I read it, and I was so emotional by the time I read the ending. It was...
So if it affects you, it's going to affect me.
It truly affected me, yes, and I didn't know a thing about hockey. I'd never seen a hockey game, and you don't have to, which is what I'm trying to say. With a film like this, it's obviously the hockey fans and the sports enthusiasts would love this film because there's a lot of action, but it's also a film of inspiration, how this team has to come together to win at the end, and what happens through the process. And it's about a young man, he's 17, he's actually a boy, who lost his parents rather abruptly, and now he's moved into the small town, and how does he cope? And it's about overcoming obstacles, exactly. And it's something that we can all relate to, no matter what our background is. So those are the kind of stories I like, and this is one that we truly like. We have a great group right now that, you know, that's on board. We have some Oscar-winning actors that are on board, an Oscar-nominated actor as well. Right, so we're getting there with this. It's called Lockport, and we just have to choose where we want to shoot it. Actually, right now we're thinking of shooting it in Canada, because they have such a great tax incentive there, and there's a lot of hockey rinks that we can use and a lot of background opportunity.
Lots of hints in everything that you've said about even a locale like Armenia and how we can turn into that kind of
I have to tell you, the locale, I mean, the locations here, you know, as a filmmaker, as a producer, whatever I see, I'm always thinking, well, this would be a great location for a film, for this kind of film. You have so many. We have so many. I shouldn't say
absolutely.
Now I feel like I don't live here, but this is my country as well. This is my homeland.
That's what it's supposed to do. That's what the trip is supposed to do.
And I truly feel it now more than ever. So many, and I'm thinking this is a little gold mine here if you want to produce films, because really that's the best way to get your message out. It's through the arts and making a film, telling them our story, and it doesn't have to be blatant, in your face, a genocide story that might scare some people away. My goal has always been to find a film that can really appeal to the masses.
It's not just scaring people away.
Our
we
story
are multifaceted.
Let them know, you know, like just weave it into our story, into the storyline, and get them to understand about our genocide, about our people, what's happened to us, but kind of sneak it in. I think that's going to be the best way to be able to appeal to the masses with our stories.
We can only wish you luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for inviting me. I just loved meeting everyone that you have here, and I wish you so much success. It's such a great concept that you have for news, and I can't wait to stay online.
We love hearing it. Yes. We hope that CivilNet can in fact be the link for people like you who who get connected, and we need you to stay connected.
Yes, we need to spread the word,
Absolutely.
which is what we're going to do.
Missionaries.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we're going to. That's what we need. We'll do that.
Thank you, Terri Melkonian.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with Terri Melkonian, who is a television and film producer from California, here with the Chamonix Armenian School's annual Armenia trip group. Thank you for following us on CivilNet. We continue to bring you the global Armenians.